Cider making was very much a therapeutic hobby for me, and then it turned into a business. The hobby becomes, at least for us, is building a community.
In 2020, like I said, we were going to have this festival. It's called Gym City. It was supposed to happen the week that the COVID lockdown happened.
Oh, no.
So
we're bringing it back this year. It's
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
this year.
yeah,
Hopefully not COVID.
hopefully
Well,
not
no.
COVID.
That would be bad. Hey y'all, welcome back to City Limitless, where we explore Mesa and beyond its city boundaries. I'm your host, Ashley, and I'm so excited this week. We've brought back both of the founders of Cider Corps, Mesa's only cider house, and we're going to talk a little bit about Veterans Day, how you guys come to be, the event that you're hosting this year, and just dive into it. So welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, don't act quiet now.
Yeah.
Well, let's start from the beginning. I know we've talked a little bit about this, but Josh, this time you get to have Jason on and we get to kind of experience a little bit of his past experiences through his own words. But would you like to start that conversation off of the start of Cider Corps?
Yeah. So in 2012, Jason was in Afghanistan with the Marine Corps. That's why we call it Cider Corps. And
Not
hit
corpse.
not corpse
Good
or
for
corp.
clarification.
or Corps, whatever you want to go with. It's Corps.
Corps.
Marine Corps. So while deployed, hit 2 IEDs 5 days apart, sustained 2 traumatic brain injuries. So in coming back, that meant life was going to look quite a bit different. One of the things that was recommended was a hobby to become like a therapy. And at the time, I was doing my own business, and so I had pretty flexible hours. And so we talked about doing something together, having a little bit of a support system there. And cider was something that sounded interesting. We were big into craft beer.
Okay.
And it seemed very unconventional, I guess would be the best way to describe it. And so he actually bought me a cider making kit for my birthday, 2013. And that's when this
It
whole
took
mess
off.
started.
A mess?
Yeah.
I think it's more than a mess. It's a successful business.
A dirty mess to maybe a beautiful mess to a dirty mess. We've been kind of all over.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I think in kind of even the joking of that, it's interesting that this all kind of started like with a tragedy, and with what led to the business was seeing kind of a consistent problem amongst like where the tragedy goes.
Mhm.
And where, like, for a lot of other guys, where the tragedy started to lead to, and how to be kind of like an element of hope in that. And so that's where then the business and the hobby kind of all came to a crux. Was it had been about 2.5, 3 years of a medical retirement process.
Wow.
Where Jason was experiencing like a lot of things on his own, but then was also surrounded by a lot of other stories of guys in similar position, and help being very limited. Things like, hot air balloon rides and occasionally some diapers for kids, stuff that can be
You don't
not
think
really
twice
overly
about-
beneficial.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we started to talk about how do we start something that's for profit that can actually do something and make some headway to helping people, but also like as brothers, like family and community is a part of our DNA. And so how do we take like the desire to help and the desire, like knowing that help also comes through like finding a new family and finding community. That's where then Cider Corps started to make sense. It started to seem like that's the best way for us to do this is make money and create a space where people can come in and they can start to experience maybe the family that they don't have, the support system they don't have, and just be able to inspire
others
Others,
to get
yeah.
involved in maybe a more creative outlet than
Yes.
what could be given to you on paper, right?
Yeah.
Jason, have you felt like your therapy in a sense has helped?
For sure.
And how long did that process for you take? I mean, it's probably a lifelong process, but truly, have you seen the differences and you felt the differences?
Absolutely. I think that there's an evolution that happens kind of with your mental health care and for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and, a little bit different sometimes for veterans is that we have like a point of origin, like we see exactly where it happened and then how our bodies break down and how it changes our mental processes. And so for me going through, once I medically retired, it took 2 years to go to basically for the Marine Corps to say like, okay, he can function out there. We're just going to kick him back out to the community.
Wow.
And, I'm really fortunate that I had a really good support system. Most guys don't have that, a caring wife and brother and just family that was always wanting to be around and check on me. And that really carried me through. If you don't have that type of support structure, you end up a part of the 22, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, over time, like making cider in the garage was something that was started bringing me and the neighbors together and started kind of like in a small way building a new community. Then we decided to make it into a business and people start coming around and asking questions. And, for me, it's hard to talk about mental health and trying to kind of like, as you're going through the process and I'm still seeing doctors and being medicated and trying to figure out like, what is wrong with me? Doing that and then being in school and starting a company and trying to like put the pieces together. I think you continually push to like get the last puzzle piece in, but then realize like it's never going to fit, and that's okay. It's the same for all of us. And so sometimes it's okay just to take it back apart and enjoy the process of putting it back together and building new community. So cider making was very much a therapeutic hobby for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned into a business. Right. And so, as you start to process that of like, oh man, like I need a new hobby. The hobby becomes, at least for us, is building a community and then trying to figure out like, what is that community? Who are the people that I want surrounding me? And if you followed Cider Corps for any time, you've realized like we're pretty apolitical, right? Like we've kept our tap room open to the people. Mm-hmm. We the people, to me, very much means everybody equally. And the flag represents everybody equally. And so trying to create and keep a space that is open for people to come in and talk, sit across the bar and talk about things that they would never share in their life is an incredible experience. So now I see those things as my therapeutic hobby is making the connection and forcing people to connect. One of the things, like you have a couple drinks, and one of the things Josh has been passionate about since the tap room's been open is not having TVs and community seating. So like you have to engage with somebody or you sit there by yourself. Yeah. And most people engage with other people, especially after having a drink or two, right? So that's the new piece is for us trying to figure out how to bring people together, how to kind of, not step back in time, but to look at things that we liked growing up or how we interact with each other in our community and how to continue to recreate that and have it thrive.
Certainly. So you guys are very heavy on community, which is awesome. And I feel like being in the Downtown Mesa area with the thriving like brew scene, that community is so unique. What are you guys doing in-house, maybe for employees or, maybe other veterans in similar situations? Do you guys offer anything for those types of people to come in and maybe pick up a hobby that they didn't think was going to be available to them?
There's a few different pieces to like what the kind of core values of the tap room are. And one, it's a place, it's a safe place where, every employee that we've hired over the last 7 years, we've tried to be really clear is like, if you're not a veteran, which is great, like we all need to be in this together. I'm not a veteran, so there has to be kind of like a joined communal effort. But if you're not, understand that there's guys that and women that know that this is a safe place for them, that even if they're not coming to drink, if they're just coming because they know like they've met us along the way and they've heard it communicated, or somebody else along the way has communicated to them that you can come sit in any seat that you want. There's no pressure to drink. If you just need to get out of your house, get into a public setting and be able to cool down, that's what it is. And so we've tried to create that, in the tap room through our employees and us, of just that safe place. And then another way is like we have worked hard, but we also end up, just because of what the business is, we get connected to a lot of veteran resources. So then we try to bring elements of those into the tap room all the time. A good example being, I can't remember when it was, but somewhere along the way, we ended up finding out that the Mesa Arts Center has a program called Arts and Service that is specifically for veterans.
Wow.
And they can come and they can participate in multiple classes
For free.
That's
completely
even
for
better,
free.
Yeah.
Which is, that fits in kind of in the therapeutic, but also communal vein of what we do. Is like, maybe cider making isn't your hobby, or making beer or whatever, but maybe making pottery, maybe that is.
Yeah.
And so always having pieces of that stuff in our tap room so that people can connect to that. And then the last is like involving our community, so Downtown Mesa, in that kind of like effort to just recognize and honor veterans and their families. And so we will do festivals, we will do different collaborations with the different Downtown Mesa businesses, so that they get to actively participate in caring for people in their community.
Yeah.
That maybe they don't have like a direct kind of like affiliation to. This helps them kind of like
Bridge that gap
Bridge
a little
that
bit
gap.
and get involved with the
Yeah.
community.
Yep.
Now, you guys mentioned you do celebrate Veterans Day for obvious reasons, but I want to get into this year's celebration. We're post-COVID, we're able to do events. You guys got something really cool in the works. I want to hear about your Veterans 2024 Day event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. The shortest, easiest answer would be like those three things that we just talked about: creating a place, attaching like connecting resources, and then connecting our community. We basically had the idea of taking those core principles of the tap room and then putting them to a bigger frame. And so we've invited like some of the Downtown Mesa and then just some of like the craft beer guys that have supported us.
Yeah, tell us
all
about the
along
vendors
way.
that you guys have too.
Yeah, so one of our good friends from the beginnings, Dark Sky Brewing up in Flagstaff. Ryan, the owner, has brought in somebody to work under him that's a Army veteran.
So yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of formed like a special relationship. So they're going to come down, and then some of Downtown Mesa's like BRI, Phantom Fox, 12 West, just some of the people that over the 7 years have become a part of the community effort. They're all excited to be a part of it.
But not only that, you're going to have vendors that are veteran owned and operated. What are some of those people that are going to be there that your guests can expect?
Along the way, we've met different veteran, like other people who have seen the small business element as an element for them to kind of like find a new space. So we've met a guy, he started a company called Mental Joe. He connects people to a lot of resources for the mental health aspect of it. And what's been really incredible is like, it matches a lot of like what our story is he was on the verge of suicide from a lot of his service stuff and just kind of hit a different connection point, and it changed his life.
Yeah.
So now he's passionate about doing that for others. And so he's going to be out there helping people connect to a lot of the resources. And then he sells like a lot of t-shirts and stuff to help fund what he does. There's a business that will be there that it kind of was a natural relationship through the tap room. She's a Marine. She started doing house cleaning and was doing it with like safe and organic different types of materials. And along the way, we started working with her. So we supply her with an alcohol base that we create.
Wow, that's unique.
That
Very
then
cool.
allows her to clean. So she'll be out there, and then we'll have other vendors that are not veterans, but have really jumped in over the last few years of like supporting us. So Dixon Flannel is a gigantic national, but they're local, and they have helped us over the last 3 years do some projects together that have sent significant amounts of
That's
money
huge.
towards
awesome.
Specifically helping veterans. So
Now, you guys, when we've had a couple of meetings, this event is called Gem City for you guys. I want to get the history because I've heard you guys have sat through the libraries, you've read through the books. Tell us the history behind Gem City and why you chose that for this year's event.
2020, we were going to do a big beer and cider festival down here, and we had pretty much every brewery in the state that was going to come down. And so we were trying to think of, at that time, craft beer was kind of hitting like its pinnacle moment. And so there was a lot of great things happening in the state. And so we started looking around for different names of what we were going to call this, and started researching kind of the city, because a part of it, like you mentioned earlier, is like this is where our roots are planted. And so we've always been passionate about bringing people to the city and seeing like the beauty that's down here and the beauty that's all around our city. And so as we started like going to the library, researching, we met with a Mesa historian and just kind of were like picking around. And we had found that, I want to say it was like in the 20s, there was a decent period of time where Mesa was referred to as the Gem City.
Really?
And it had to do with like a lot of the resources that were here at the time.
Not necessarily physical gems.
Yeah, not physical gems, although out in the superstitions there are physical gems.
Yes.
But yeah, so it was like, a lot of right along the salt. So we were getting like a lot of cotton. There was just like a lot of different citrus. And then also the people groups. At that time, there was quite a diversity in the people groups and the religions and different things that were here. And so it was just kind of seen as like this gem. Even to the point where in some of the historical documents, there was like a semi-professional baseball team that was referred to as the Mesa Jewels.
Wow, I had no clue.
So like that kind of like element of pointing to like different things that were all beautiful, that were making one place recognized as that, for us was like, man, that is too good of a thing to pass up on, and to not kind of like breathe back some life into. Now that Mesa has a lot of our friends that now started restaurants down here, where they were bringing their culture, and they were passionate about bringing their culture through their food. And so there's a lot of different cultures down here, proudly kind of like representing like their DNA. It just went so well with the theme of Gem City. In 2020, like I said, we were going to have this festival. It's called Gem City. It was supposed to happen the week that the COVID lockdown happened.
Oh, no.
So
we're bringing it back this year. It's happening this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully not COVID.
Hopefully
no. That would be bad. But with Gem City, you guys are truly a gem of downtown Mesa. Like I said, the only cider house in Mesa. Of all places in Arizona you could have picked, why Mesa?
Yeah.
Is that a loaded question?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple factors of, like, we both live in the East Valley.
Great.
Yeah, we're East Valley people. Since both of us have been here since the early 2000s, we've always kind of lived in the East Valley, always had a different appreciation for the East Valley. And then, there's elements of we're starting a business as two guys that don't come from money. So you're trying to find a place that
cheap rent.
Realistically.
Yeah,
realistically. I think some of the first times we came to Downtown Mesa, there was elements of just what the downtown kind of like physically looks like. That was very similar to the small town that we grew up in the Midwest.
Oh, wow.
So there's like a little nostalgia, and then, you know, all the buildings are old, and so it requires kind of like you putting in yourself into making it look like something and creating a space, and that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
Our parents bought old dumpy houses, and we would live in it while working on it, and then we'd move to the next one, and so kind of just like being able to put ourselves into a place that's usually old buildings.
Yeah,
right?
certainly. Give it your own
Innovation of it,
character.
yep.
And,
So yeah, and then just there was some connections to some economic development things that were happening at that time, because I don't remember what year, but it was like when the light rail was kind of giving a lot of money to people like us. Hey, come start a business here. So I would say that's probably the primary reasons.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Now, what are you guys doing for veterans? What do you guys do to give back to that community? Is there any incentives? I know you guys say you create a safe space, you have some resources, but is there anything else that you guys are doing for that community?
Yeah, a lot of it I think is just being a voice is the biggest piece. So, you know, when I got back and get introduced to these different nonprofits that help, like Josh said, like a lot of times it's a hot air balloon, right? Or a massage. It's like, I don't want to be touched and I don't want to be up in the air without any control. Like, so it's kind of a weird place to be. So, I mean, over the last 10 years, there's been a significant growth in the nonprofit sector. And it's, you know, as somebody who's been on both sides now, because we just started a nonprofit, Honor Great Sacrifice Foundation, and the whole intention of it is so that we can kind of, what's the word? Like when we can see the deficiencies, or I don't know what the right word is, of nonprofits that we want to work with, or ones that we kind of want to see like probably need to go away, right? Like it's nice. So, you know, we can take money and put it into our nonprofit, and then we can work with other nonprofits that we want to work with. I guess like we've had the opportunity to work with nonprofits that are even much larger, right? And so there's one that's come in. I don't know how old they are now, but the concentrations on traumatic brain injuries and PTSD. And so, you know, there's a piece where, like in our tap room, we get to work daily with veterans and offer small things. Like we do a 30% discount, veterans discount if you're in our tap room.
Yeah.
And that's cool and fun. But then on the larger side, working with somebody like Cohen's Bioscience, they're studying the correlations of PTSD, traumatic brain injuries in veterans. Because again, like I said, there's a point of contact for us. Like I got blown up on this day, and 3 months later, I'm not producing any of my own hormones. Like, so there's those type of issues, and like, how does it correlate? But then they're taking it from that side and saying, how, if you're in a car accident and you have a blunt force trauma, right, a TBI,
interesting.
How do we get ahead of that? How do we start? What kind of like medications or therapies do we need to go through to like initiate the process that it doesn't take you 2 years to be able to talk right again, right?
Certainly.
So I guess what I was saying with the nonprofits is a lot of them don't have a voice. They're very passionate and they don't have a voice and they don't have any money. And so now we're distributed statewide. We're with one of the largest distribution companies in the country. And we're starting to get like a little bit of that platform to be a voice. And so, you know, we can go in and we can almost interview some of these nonprofits, bring them in, and then give them some of the platform that they need for fundraising or just reaching out, right? Because I think one thing that there's so many resources out there for veterans, we just don't know, right? We don't find out until several years later, like, oh, that's all I had to do, you know. And I'm lucky, I'm medically retired, and so, you know, I have the insurance, I can go to any doctor. It's kind of easier for me, but if you don't have that, if that didn't come to you, you have no idea.
Yeah.
And so just for us being able to provide that type of information, and, you know, we try to intentionally set, you know, we send cans out. We're going to be pushing out an honor series, and hopefully those things like just bring people back to us or to the website so they can go through and they can see resources that are there. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that's incredible.
But, yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. You guys are doing greater work than just making cider, and I hope you guys are aware of that. You're impacting people's lives in every aspect, truly. But with that being said, what does the future of Cider Corps look like for the both of you?
Right now, we're just trying to, grow and push the mission out, the cider out as far as we can. Right now we have opportunities to go into several different states with the product, and so, we're Josh is working on the branding and marketing of truly what that looks like. Like, it's great as a business to be able to grow like we are, but mission first, right? And so, how do we do it in a way? How do we grow that continues to honor people of the past and present that are trying to make those true changes in their communities, and really just try to push back into giving people opportunity and a platform to share their stories. And we all have one.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story, veteran or not. Like, there's a place where you came from, and there's something that if we understand how to come together, that or at least give opportunity for us to come together, there can be significant growth.
That's awesome. Well, let's wrap it up. Because this is more projecting right around Veterans Day, I want our listeners to know what they can expect from your event should they end up going. Can you give us about, 3 things? What are 3 things the visitors can expect from your guys' event?
Yeah. Great drinks.
Woo!
There'll be, some great drinks from some local producers. There'll be some really cool, like, family interactive things. We're going to do like a community art project.
So it is family friendly.
It is family friendly.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Everything that we do, including our tap room, we've always tried to make it a very family friendly place, because like Jason said, like, a lot of times, like, the nuclear family for a veteran is their only support system. And so then to kind of like say that we're trying to create a place, like a safe place for them, that has to include that whole family.
Yeah.
Right. The wife that was at home while the husband was deployed.
Yeah.
She did just as much sacrifice as he did, and flip flop. So, like, they need to be able to have a place where they can come together and bring their kids. And so we do that in the tap room, but this, like, event specifically, we're working with some other local people to do kind of like a community art piece that kids and adults can overlap. And then there'll be, for veterans, there will be a huge connection of just a lot of resources.
Awesome.
That hopefully
help
benefit them.
Yeah. One more thing to touch on. I wanted to, because I got word, how many tents do you guys have? How many booth areas? Because I know there was a significant number behind that, and it was a little ironic. And you mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to see if that was still standing.
It's possibly still standing.
Okay.
It's a little bit in flux, but as we were kind of laying out how it was all going to work out there, in the individual tents, there ended up being 22 tents for vendors. So
very serendipitous.
It was interesting how that worked out.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited for Veterans Day. We love you in the downtown space. I'm excited, and we hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Check us out on all forms of social media. And don't forget to head out to Downtown Mesa during Veterans Day weekend. We got a barbecue fest. We got Cider Corps. We have the Veterans Day Parade. It's all here. And until then, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Mesa, that's where I feel free, free, free. I'm on the